See you at the ballpark. Yep. 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 Ball. Ball.
Okay, let's go. Ball players, gloves.
Hello.
Philadelphia's Classic Rock 102.9 MGK. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 8:05, 54 degrees outside. We could see some rain later on this afternoon into tonight, and then clouds tomorrow will give way to sunshine. The high temperature about 68 degrees.
Are you guys ready to play baseball this year?
Okay, today we are going to do some practice. Now with practice, we're going to do some batting. You know how to bat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do. Okay. We're going to do some batting, we're going to do some fielding, and we're also going to run the bases. Now, let's start with this. You guys know where the bases are.
And when you first hear the diagnosis, you're devastated, and you can do one of two things. You can curl up and feel sorry for yourself and do the whole why me thing and it just wallow in pity, or you can deal with it and realize you're having a child.
He used to just sit in the playground by himself, playing alone on the swings or whatever, really not felt like he was part of the crowd.
Frank, the coach of the Challenger team, saw Steven and said, hey, does he play on a Challenger League? And I was like, what's a Challenger League?
What's so great about the Challenger League is a chance for Jacob to experience team sports, and baseball is the perfect example of team sports.
Out of all the kids in Little League, there's only very few that go on to play Major League Baseball.
I still remember like day one going into the directors meeting, and they handed you the Little League players manual, and the little lady of the league basically looked at it and said, okay, all you guys are Challenger coaches, first thing you have to know, you see these rule books here, throw them away. Doesn't apply. Excellent. High five, high five, high five. Let's go! Do it!
My Coach Frank is awesome. I'm the best coach ever.
Coach Frank.
He's nice.
Where's first base? Where's second base? Where's third base? Okay. And that's home plate. I forgot that one. Every single kid's got a different personality. Every kid's got a different challenge out there. That's why, like, a lot of times you got one of our kids, Eddie, you're just going to see him pick up a bat, go out in the outfield. Even when we're in the field, he just takes his bat with him. It's just the only way you got to deal with it. So we set him up in the outfield with a batting tee, and he just keeps hitting batting practice while the rest of the team's in the field. So it's kind of interesting, and just trying to see what makes a kid tick. But I mean, just little tricks like some kids like visual cues, some kids like audio cues about like when to hit the ball, etc.
That's the challenge, really, because Frank is so unorganized. He just thinks that he can just do the batting line up in the car on the way to the game and stuff like that. So I kind of took over a lot of that, the paperwork involved.
Well, what you guys think about? We got a game coming up next weekend. You guys ready for a game? Yeah! She's able to make it so that I can come out here and have fun with the kids. And I really do love her for that.
Frank, being the coach, has a great skill and unbelievable patience with all these kids.
See that line? That's where you put your feet. Go ahead, put your feet right there. Beautiful.
Over here, buddy.
Now.
Now, we're mad.
Put the ball there, I want you to hit it. Ready? Go! Whoa! Wow! 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 Some of these kids have got some real difficulties, and I think some of the parents feel, essentially isolated. They see in their community and their neighbors, all their kids are normal. They go out to play, and their kids kind of left out a little bit. But here you got a chance to basically get the parents together, and just, they get to share, swap stories, get to compare notes, and I think that's really important.
He has more energy and more enthusiasm than any coach I have ever seen, and he loves these kids.
Who's the coach of the Phillies?
Dad.
Daddy. How do you like Daddy? You like the coach? Am I a good coach?
That's good about Dad.
I'm the good?
Yeah.
My son Kevin is here. He's got Down syndrome, and I don't mind saying my attention span. But so he's got a couple challenges. I keep saying two biggest are me and my wife.
When we first found out that Kevin was going to have Down syndrome, I was pregnant. I was like 22 weeks pregnant, and I mean, it was awful. Everybody goes through that. I mean, it's terrible. I cried for weeks, and everybody said my whole pregnancy I had this look on my face, like worry, like sad, whatever. Frank, he was really good. We both cried a lot when we found out and everything. But, when Kevin was actually born, since we knew everything ahead of time, we already knew he was going to need heart surgery. We already knew all that kind of stuff. So when he was born, it was really, very happy for us. We were just happy to meet him and finally see him. Sometimes it's harder to reason with Kevin than it is to reason with my other son.
See? Mom and Daddy. I got it.
We find ways around everything, just like you have to deal with different people, you have to deal with Kevin. Frank is much nicer at dealing with people who don't really accept Kevin than I am. I just want to smack them. And Frank was like, oh, well, no, they don't understand. If they don't get it, that's their problem, I mean, why do you worry about it? That's their problem. And I always think, well, they're not accepting my son. They think my son shouldn't be here, and that makes me want to, hurt them. Ready, get set, go. I would just want people to judge, him as an individual and not just put him in a group of, mentally handicapped, challenged, even the hated word retarded, and just give him a chance as a person, because everybody's different and everybody has a lot to give.
Ah! Ah!
He's flying like a superhero. Well, Kevin has a girlfriend. It's a little girl, Emma Rose, in his class that he met last year. And she's a little girl with Down syndrome. And he just loves her. He'll tell you anytime, Emma Rose is the girl he's going to marry.
Is Rebecca.
I love watching Kevin go on the field and play baseball. I mean, the joy on his face, when he's out there with all his friends and he's, with other people, and when he gets a hit and everybody's cheering for him and he's got to run the first base. I mean, the look on his face and the big smile and everything, I mean, it just says it all. It's just worth everything.
There was one point, obviously when you have a kid with a disability, at first you go through, they talk about mourning the child you were expecting. And yeah, you definitely go through that, but eventually it settles down. And I still remember, one day I walked into a coffee shop, buy some bagels, and there was a dad sitting there with an older kid with Down syndrome, and they just came in. They could tell that they sat in a regular seat, and he just opened the paper up, and with the kid there, the kid was reading the comics, and Dad was reading the paper, and I just realized that at least for myself, yeah, I could do that. I'm gonna love that. It's gonna be a great time. of the things we do like out of the baseball is team participation. We try to stress that. We try to stress getting the kids together and doing cheers, yay Phillies, things like that.
Here, right here. Put your hand in first. Can you remember that? That's it. Okay, ready? Let's go, Phillies! So let's go get our uniforms. Sue, who's up first?
This is an opportunity for them to get together and just enjoy and have fun for once. Get their parents to not think about it. For one time, they're up there and they're going to hit the ball, and as soon as they do that, there's accomplishment.
From the beginning of baseball, I mean, every little kid's like the same. They all love hitting, and they hate being out in the field.
No matter how bad a week you had at work, when you come out here and just get a hug from one of these kids, it's worth every penny.
Our pitchers were all out. So me being the catcher, they said, hey, Ian, we need you to pitch. Can you pitch? So all I could do was throw fastball. So I struck out 13 guys and hit a home run over the fence. It was the happiest day of my life. Then 3 days later, they wanted me to pitch again, and I think I hit everybody. I beamed them all, and I never pitched again, and then I just caught. But I love being a catcher, so that was cool too. When Jake was diagnosed with autism, and maybe even a little bit before, I realized that, it wasn't going to be the storybook where your father goes in the back and has a catch with his son. It took a lot of time. Jake's 9 years old now, and I'm so happy that he has an interest in baseball, but it's far different from what I thought.
Morning. It's the morning, kids. Good morning. Good morning, kids. Good.
Jake was going to his first baseball game. It was the Reading Phillies, and he was so excited to go to the game. The build-up was great.
It's 1, 2, 3, 3 strikes around at the ball game.
And in a split second, he changed his emotions, and he went from being so excited to go to the Phillies game to it was hard to get him in the car to go.
And I don't want to go to the Phillies game. Let's go.
All right, Jake. Next time I'll take Paige. You don't have to go.
I want to go to the Phillies game. Wait, I want to go. Wait.
Jake, calm down.
Wait. I like it.
With autism, I think, that's why they call it the puzzle. And you're trying to put the pieces together in the puzzle because your emotions can go from happiness to complete frustration in a matter of seconds.
I would hope that people can be really understanding when they see families of special needs kids out in the community with our children, because they will have tantrums, or they might be asking people inappropriate questions, and we might look like we're bad parents or we have bad kids, but we're not.
I look at my wife, and she's with Jacob 24/7. I go to work, and I'll work long days, and then I'll come home. I'll have to work out, I need my strength and I need time, so when I am with Jacob, I can be there for him. Because sometimes it just gets hard. It gets hard. The fits can be pretty intense at times, and I don't understand them.
See myself smiling. I have a lovely smile.
You have a lovely smile.
Jake, you relax. What's the matter? Jake, are you frustrated? I don't understand how to help him, and that gets really frustrating because you want so much just to hug him and say things are going to be all right, but I don't know what's going through his head. Hey, Stacy, the bus is here. When we first started with the league, Jacob would be up to bat and he'd bat the ball, and as he's running to first base, he wouldn't let the bat go. So he's running to first base. Sometimes he'd actually run to second base, and we'd all have to yell, "Go to first," and point in that direction. And he just smiles. He has a great time. All the kids just love it and they laugh. And again, it's just so exciting to see him enjoy life. And just to see them smile is, for a dad, that's pretty cool.
Oh, everybody learns something. I learned that everybody is the same, and like no matter what, like people can have fun. And the kids are having a great time. You can tell by the looks on their face and everything. They're having a blast. Everybody, like they're the same as us. Like they're not any different. They still like live on the same earth, eat the same food. They understand everything. They laugh and like have good times. They're the same as regular people, and so there's no difference. Like why you wouldn't like hang out with them or anything.
Opening day.
I'm looking forward to my brother's opening day.
Steven, put all of ours together. I'm Steven's little brother, and also I'm 6 years old, and my brother is 8. And we're also 2 years apart.
And then my brother's name is Mickey.
Yeah, he's a pain in the butt sometimes.
Being Kevin's brother is it's not much different from being anyone else's brother. But we fight sometimes and we get along sometimes, and yeah.
Well, my sister, she may be different because of the disability, but she's sort of the same. She has like, the same feelings and stuff. She may not be able to like tell you the same way as we can, but she can express it in her own ways.
I love helping out these guys. And, like they're always really nice, and like it's just amazing what these guys can do.
Yes, I help out on Saturdays.
And I love him to stick him his tail, and I love him. It's not fair.
When he does what?
When he gets all the attention.
This is my sister's second year playing baseball for this team, and it was really nice seeing her hit the ball.
Like I play baseball myself for Springford, and I think these guys could probably beat us.
I don't want them to see like someone with Down syndrome or autism or something and think they're like different and weird. I just want them to think that they're average people.
I love him so much.
When I saw him play baseball, I thought he was like, yeah, you should be like on the Major League Baseball team.
And these guys, I would actually want them to know that they have certain problems so that they don't like look like, oh, that kid's like really bad. I wonder how his parents or older siblings treat them, and just like accept them and everything, you know? Just like everybody else.
Annoying.
Who's annoying?
Becca.
Sometimes or all the time?
Most of the time.
has mild mental retardation, and she also has it's what's called cerebral heterotopias, and basically what that means is she has developmental delays. She suffers with ADHD. She has a very high level of impulsiveness, and she requires a lot of attention, and it becomes very stressful in our household.
Why do you have so much stuff on your bed?
That's just a little bit of stuff. Mom.
You think it's just a little bit of stuff?
I got a safari car, you know.
Okay.
How's it fit?
Good.
This is her sport, and it's giving us an opportunity for her to have, you know, and she, in her words, she says, cheer on me, Mom, cheer on me. She touches people, and how she brings the best out in people. And she just doesn't know a stranger. And you know, if she sees somebody in a wheelchair, she immediately says, "Mom, let's pray for them." And if she hears an ambulance, it's, "Mom, come on, we have to pray. It's an ambulance." And you know, and I've seen her go out and grab people by the hand and want to pray for them. And you know, she touches people, and she doesn't. She looks at people as people, whereas we are so quick to judge.
So play ball.
Yeah, Becca!
And she stretches me, you know, because I'm just like everybody else, and I've struggled with some of that stuff sometimes too.
August 4th.
What do you want for your birthday, you said?
That new baby that with the star in it. I like her.
A new baby with a star in it.
Yeah, that she talks. She blinks her eyes.
She blinks her eyes?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
But
That's
Becca loves even the unlovable.
She has a bottle.
Yeah.
You're talking about Baby Alive?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's her.
You're not going to want to change her stinky diapers.
Can you give me that one, please?
She's an amazing kid. As stressful as life can be with her, God has a very distinct purpose in her life, and you know, whatever that is, that's what we just pray for her.
It does. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you
Makes
sure?
funny sound.
What kind of sounds? What's a monkey say?
Hands.
What's a monkey say? Huh?
She likes to bat, but she doesn't like to field so much because she wants to bat all the time.
Do me a favor, can you walk behind the batting cage?
Here, can I practice the warm-up stick too?
Pardon? Can you practice one stick too? In a bit.
You want to practice hitting that yellow thing with me? Can I use the warm-up stick?
No, you gotta wait.
Pardon? You know what? We will be doing that today, but for right now, I want you to put the bat down.
Coach Frank is amazing. I hadn't had the opportunity to meet him before Becca's first practice. You know, he and his wife are amazing, and I just give him so much credit for the enthusiasm and for the time that he's taking out of his life to give not only to his son, but to give to our children. I will be anxious to see how Becca does on opening day.
Snack bar.
Probably the first time she gets up to bat that she won't run because she's just going to want them to throw the ball to her again. But we'll see how she does. But you know, it should be interesting. We're looking forward to it.
I said, is everybody ready? All right, our first batter today from Lower Park will be Brandon Garnett.
First thing that I see the difference between mainstream Little League and the Challenger Division with Little League, the biggest thing I see is the competitive nature. It's there, but it's a lot more relaxed, and it seems to me like with the Challenger Division, the parents have their heart and their minds in the right place. I'm a state umpire. I've done state Little League games from an umpire aspect. Heavily involved with field maintenance here, building the fields, to the point where I'm actually was the director of engineering for my company, and I quit my job to devote more time to Little League and to the facility here, and that's how much this means to me here at Upper Providence. Instead of us being boxed into a room or in a house, it allows us to allow these kids to get out into the open, They're able to socialize with other people, and I think that's a very large aspect of their lives, is being able to socialize in a atmosphere such as this, where they are in front of a lot of people.
Your name.
So I really think it takes them outside of the box, and I think that's the biggest skill set that they're going to be able to gain, not so much hitting and fielding.
Steven.
Say it into the mic.
I think the crowd needs to get in this game here. I think the players need to get
Today
in
at this game we saw a little girl dance on a pitching mound. That's what it's about, and seeing them having fun out there, seeing the crowd get into the game, that's what I get out of this.
Now this is called the bench. This is where we sit while we wait to go hit the ball, okay? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want to do, we're going to try right now is pretend we're actually playing a real game. Get up there, hit the ball, and go around the bases. You're going to have three pitches, 3 hits. On the 3rd hit, I want you to run. Can you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. Heather, you're up first. Let's go.
What's it say?
It says, world's greatest coach.
Who's the world's greatest coach, Kevin?
Who's the world's greatest coach?
Barber was just like,
Kevin, who's the world's greatest coach?
Kevin Zito.
There you go.
Mickey was first born, he had some health problems. He had his sutures were fused in his forehead, which means right here he had to have that basically cut open and repositioned. So my wife was all upset when we talked to the neurosurgeon about what are we going to do, and is he going to be okay, and how is this life-threatening? And my question for the doctor was, well, can he play football?
Mickey has mental retardation, and he has fetal valproate syndrome. Fetal valproate syndrome is from a seizure medicine called Depakote, or valproic acid, that was ingested in him when he was in utero through me. This is the love of my life. Yeah. We share a lot together, right?
Yeah.
As Mickey became older and I realized that he had some limitations, I realized that he wasn't going to be able to follow in his father's footsteps, since I've been involved with sports my entire life at many different levels. And actually, I'm okay with that. It's I'm more concerned about having him be happy, as opposed to him following my footsteps.
My name is Mickey and I'm a baseball player.
The Challenger Leagues really is great for Mickey because it gives him a chance to sort of experience some of the stuff that I got to experience at different levels. And I can tell from Mickey he really enjoys the excitement of being in a situation where he's on a Little League field and having his name announced.
Mickey after the ball.
Of course, it was funny because every time he had his name announced, he would turn around and thank the person who was doing the the PA work.
Mickey Allegado.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm an epileptic, and I had to take seizure medicine while I was pregnant because I have seizures.
Coach Frank, that's very good bat.
Basically, the neurologist said to me, well, he could have spinal bifida, and that's pretty much about it. Well, if I didn't take the drug, this little boy wouldn't be this way. You know, why did I do it? Why didn't the doctors inform me properly? And, you know, you have to deal with what God gave you. I mean, he's a gift from God no matter what. What I'm hoping, you know, I can educate other parents who have to take medicine, find out everything you can about it, because the doctors don't tell you everything. And basically after Mickey was born and I found out all these birth defects that he had, I looked in a package insert which tells you all the possible side effects, birth defects, etc. Mickey had every birth defect except spinal bifida. You just call
my brother.
You need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. That's our song together.
Yeah.
All of the kids, regardless of their disabilities, really get along very well. You have kids in various ages from, I guess, 8 to maybe even 16, and the kids, regardless of that, they don't look at people's limitations. They're all very accepting. So I think having to be in that situation is great for him.
Big stretch up. Stretch up. Jake, come on, let's stretch up. Stretch up, okay, touch your toes. Get that. Oh my word, that hurts.
Come on, touch your toes.
Oh, that hurts, that hurts, that hurts. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, that's good. I want to.
Mike and I always disagree about the way we raise our kids because I want them to be just as normal as they can be, and I think sometimes Mike doesn't agree with everything I say.
Yeah, I think couples probably never agree 100% of the time, and we certainly don't. I think we both bring different perspectives to the table, but I think they're sort of complementary. My wife is actually more of the fighter than I am, whereas I'm more of the even keel person. But I think you really do need to have both in order for the family to have any kind of normality to it. So sometimes while we disagree, we work it out, and we're all interested in the same common goal. We have different ways of getting there, and sometimes her way works, and sometimes my way works.
Because there's been times where I just wanted to walk away from the whole picture and leave it somewhere else. And, I think our faith, and as we go to church together pretty much every Sunday, and I think that's helped us a lot. You appreciate the littlest things in life, like, hey, I can walk outside and, I look at the rain and think, oh God, it's raining out. And it could be, oh my God, there's beautiful storm clouds out there. And most people take stuff like that for granted. Well, how do you feel when Mommy comes to see you at baseball?
Happy.
Happy? Yeah. And what do you do for me when you hit the ball? You said you're going to hit me a what?
No.
You're going to hit me a home
run.
A home run.
The word retard is just as derogatory as calling somebody a different race a very derogatory name.
Okay, we use buddies and Challenger to help keep the kids on track. Buddies are just kids that aren't on the Challenger team, athletes that help out and just kind of keep the kids on track.
We worked with kids that were mentally challenged and physically disabled. I was playing shortstop, so I also had somebody who was mentally challenged playing next to me, and I was helping them play shortstop. My friend was a first baseman who also had another kid that was mentally challenged, and we just helped them. The game was so much fun. Everybody had a great time. It was awesome.
All Upper Providence buddies, please go to the third base foul line.
Some of the kids aren't sure really how to act. Then some kids really seem to take to it because it enables kids without difficulties to sort of experience what kids who do have some difficulties and some limitations experience. I'm really impressed in how some of the kids really take to some of the kids who have problems.
What we're doing with the buddies, we're going to do follow. Just help the kids have fun. It's a blast, trust me. When they're up to bed, give them a little rest.
I remember my biology class when we were learning about the different chromosomes, they brought in somebody who had Down syndrome so we could learn about it. And we had so many hands-on experiences from such a young age of education throughout the end of high school. Our community that I live in is just so, they are part of our community. There is no difference. Everybody is a part of the community, whether you're mentally challenged or not mentally challenged.
These are brand new helmets for our team. Look at that, isn't that great? Brenda,
I like that.
Jakey, look at these.
what do you think? Is that good? Oh, come on.
Jake, want to try a helmet?
You guys are gonna look so sharp.
We don't have to use buckets?
We don't have to use those black ones that squish your
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Heather Sauer. I've been doing Leaf for 7 years, and my coach, Frank, is awesome.
Heather is 18 years old. She has a numerous amount of different disabilities. Her main one that she's in the wheelchair for is spina bifida. She also has a hearing impairment, and she also has something called adrenal insufficiency.
It makes me feel good when I play, and when I wake up in the morning, not happy. I don't feel happy sometimes when I wake up, then I feel happy when I hang out with my friends.
As a special ed teacher, I see a lot of kids every day on a daily basis that have learning disabilities and have physical challenges, and having my daughter play baseball has been really good for her. It's given her a lot of enthusiasm. It's challenged her physically. It's made her a part of a team, which is a good thing.
I will play fair and strive to win. But win or lose, I will always do my best.
Coach Frank is awesome.
Thank you.
My daughter loves him. He's very positive. He's always willing to take the time and work individually with her, show her how to hit, show her how to, catch, and always just focuses on what she does right.
See this ball? I want you to watch it. Don't think. Why are you looking at me? Look at the ball. Look at the ball. That's what I'm talking about, girl.
I feel confident because my team's best and we do good.
You like batting? Do you like to hit and run?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
My son's name is Evan McClone, and he's 16 years old. And I'm Joan, I'm his mom, and we've been coming out to Challenger Baseball since Evan was 8 years old. So we've been at it for a while, and Evan's made tremendous progress. He loves the game of baseball. Evan was born with Down syndrome, which has him, there's a wide spectrum. He's moderately mentally retarded, so he's mentally challenged is what we're dealing with, and he's included in his regular school, and we're in lots of classes with regular kids. and he comes to Variety Club to do all the group sports that he loves. Evan just has a knack in a crowd when he sees people that he deems are older, either a grandpa or a nana. He just runs and gives them a hug.
That's fine.
This Challenger Baseball has just meant a lot to us. We never held Evan back. We tried everything, sports, and the first thing that I picked up other than baseball skill was just a sense of belonging. I mean, he comes, he has friends, he feels like he really belongs and he's a part of a team. And then to learn to stay in a group activity and for each person to play a part and contribute, it's just kind of like a little life lesson is what it is. He gets real excited in the morning. When he first got his uniform, he slept overnight in his uniform. He wouldn't take it off for us, and it's hard to put in words. He's just grown in leaps and bounds.
Go, buddy, run! Run it, Evan, run! Yeah, I'll face it.
Wait.
You need your helmet off? What? Oh, look out. Move. Oh, you want to hit it one more time? Okay, Evan's going to hit it one more time.
And skills, there was a coach when we started that was just relentless with skills. And I think he had high expectations, and the man had patience from I don't know where. He did have his own son with special needs, so I do know where his patience came from, but he was relentless with skills and drills, and my son learned everything about baseball. When he learned to count, one year he went from first base to second base. The next year he figured out first, second, and third base, and each year we see improvement. So we're thrilled, and I think it's just helped his self-esteem and confidence in a big way also.
Got to find a way to pull myself up high enough to know what's around and smile.
I love when Evan is up at bat. Evan and Becca, because they can really pound the ball. So I think I try to move to third base so I can get some action. And maybe they'll hit one down the line. And it's great coaching the kids, but if it gets by them, I like to dive for the ball myself. It makes me feel like a kid myself.
First base.
Ellen is a 9-year-old little girl with lots of energy and enthusiasm, and she has Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome and also mental retardation. Is nonverbal for the most part, has some words, has some signs, but not a lot, and not very coordinated, but she loves playing baseball. The other kids don't know how to interact with her. Typical kids, they tend to just look at her if she grunts or makes sounds instead of understanding that she's much, very similar to them, but, has a different way to communicate. So this gives her an opportunity to communicate and socialize and learn what's appropriate behavior and what's not, and just to feel part of the group and be accepted. I think I'd like people who maybe see Ellen out in public and hear, funny sounds or don't understand her behavior. I'd like them to understand that they're not going to catch something. She's a great kid and she's very loving. In a regular mainstream situation where they might frown upon sitting down in the field, where there's just a lot more competitiveness and requirement to participate. But, here she can do what she feels she's up to doing and have a good time. So you shouldn't think that there's something strange about her. She just behaves differently.
Say hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Say goodbye now.
Bye. He's a lot of fun most of the time. Sometimes you might have a little trouble, but like early in the morning, like, he's not much of a morning person, so he's a little cranky usually.
I'm Ed Cowan, and this is Eddie Cowan. And this is Matt Cowan. Eddie's disability is called microcephaly. He has a small brain, and he's challenged a little bit with his speech. Pretty good as far as his physical abilities getting around, but he's very little. You know, his age is 9 years old, but he's very small. He's about 40 pounds. But it doesn't stop him. He's got plenty of energy and has a great time out here. Frank does a great job with the kids. Ed obviously is challenged, but playing on a team like this, it gets him to get out here and play with some of the kids that are also challenged a little bit, and it could show them that, you know, when they're just watching baseball on TV or watching their siblings out there playing, they know that they're part of it too. So I think it's a great thing.
Coach Frank pitches, and if Becca goes for a run where she can't hit his balls, then, you know, all of a sudden she wants him to be replaced.
She doesn't think Frank's a very good pitcher, and he's really not.
Becca knows what she wants in life. And basically I wasn't throwing it exactly the way she wanted.
She would rather I pitch to her.
Becca calls for her own relief pitchers.
She doesn't like the way he pitches, I guess.
My pitching skills are not the greatest. Watch the ball. Don't watch me, watch the ball. You really haven't lived until you've beamed a kid in a wheelchair.
I like baseball because I smacked the ball at once, and I love you and me.
Steven's been involved, and I've been involved in Challenger Baseball. This is our second year. And it's fantastic for Steven. It gives him a sense of teamwork, and it gives him something to look forward to. He really does look forward to playing baseball. We practice at home almost every day.
Down syndrome, which is a genetic disorder, is the leading cause of mental retardation in individuals. It's the second most common birth defect. It was actually discovered by Dr. Down, hence the name. The medical term is trisomy 21, tri meaning 3, somy from chromosomes, and 21 meaning that individuals with Down syndrome have 3 chromosomes on the 21st set. Typical people that don't have Down syndrome have 46 chromosomes. People with Down syndrome have 47 because they have that extra one on the 21st pair of chromosomes. So they have 47. It's a random disorder. Doesn't run in any family. Researchers don't know what causes it. We had a geneticist from a leading children's hospital stand at the end of his crib in the NICU, the neonatal ICU, and say, and he was probably a week old, if that, don't ever expect this child to walk or talk or do anything like a normal child would. And I would just love to invite her to one of these games.
Oh man, Steven, that was awesome.
The medical professionals that we were dealing with, many doctor's appointments followed, kept reminding me that there was still time for termination. You have up to so many weeks gestation before you can legally terminate. Termination is always an option. You can terminate. You can still terminate. There's still time to terminate, and it wasn't an option for us.
And I love him, and I love my mom, and
I love you, and I'm so proud of you.
And I love her, and you think of my hair, and I love you, and
We have another beautiful son, Matthew, and they are best buddies, best brothers, as they say. One minute they're hugging each other, the next minute they're beating each other up. But it's tough because everyone asks if they're twins. They're both about the same height, about the same stature, and even though Matthew is younger, he is gradually getting more advanced than Stephen. The challenges of having one child with a disability and one not is that there is the competition there, and there is the feeling on the part of the child with the disability of, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not as good as him, or we'll let him do that and I'll sit and watch because he's better and I can't. That's why I'm always telling him there's nothing that you can't do. The only thing that you can't do is have a baby, give birth. So he's learned to do mostly everything that any other typical child has done. He's slower at it, and that's pretty much what mental retardation does. It slows you down. He'll do everything that anybody else can do. It's just going to take him a lot longer.
Throw it. Steven, I'll help you. Here, help me. Okay. Hold it from here. Now, put this in your hands and throw it.
What will happen to this adult when we're gone? Will it be a burden on our other son that he'll have to take care of him? And silly things like coming up with a will, guardians and things like that you think, who are we going to pick as if something happens to us? Who's going to raise a child with special needs? Part of what it means to be a parent of a child with a disability is that all of a sudden you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an educator, a teacher, and part of it is just educating society.
That's my pail.
At the time Stephen was 5 months old, we had physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and basically like play therapy, and that's what's bringing these children so far in our society, and they can do so much more than adults with Down syndrome that years ago they just put them away and didn't teach them anything and didn't work with them.
Last fall we played Challenger football, and at that time there was only 3 Challenger football teams in the whole United States, and we got invited to go to Disney World to play in the ESPN Pop Warner Super Bowl. And it was a phenomenal experience. We got to spend a week down at Disney World, and Disney is phenomenal as far as special needs. They take care of everything.
A few weeks ago, we brought you the story of the Bucksmont Challenger football team, a flag football squad for children with special needs. Well, the boys and girls from the Lansdale area made it all the way to the Pop Warner Challenger Super Bowl at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. The parents raised enough money through candy sales, pizza, cookie dough.
I think it's extremely hard for men who their firstborn son isn't quite what they always dreamed of, and the Challenger League proves that it can be the same. Stephen and my husband and Matthew are out. They're out throwing balls and running bases and doing things that every typical father-son does.
I still play flag football on Saturday nights. Played competitive, and I mean really competitive softball. Like 1990, we played over 200 games in 1 year. And I'm supposed to be playing softball this year. And I try to keep it in decent shape so I can, if somebody has a game going on or something, play picnics, volleyball, or anything. I mean, sports is a big part of my life, watching it and playing it. And my two boys, I hope it's just, the same way with them.
For Steven here, huh?
Last year, Steven wasn't hitting that well, and they got clapping. And I remember him in the middle of the week one time saying, they were clapping for me, Dad. And I said, I know, everybody wants you to hit the ball, and everybody's proud of you. And that kind of thing sticks with them, and that's important. It keeps them coming back to play.
I won the game and say clap my game and I won and that's it.
Good morning, how are you?
We're gonna say go. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, we got our first game. Who do you think's gonna win?
It's a team that's really coming together. It's just fun.
Over the past 12 hours, we've seen an unprecedented amount of rainfall, breaking a record 4 inches in Philadelphia.
The upper levels of the atmosphere to push it out to sea, so it will be a slow mover as it tracks out to the east.
The sun will shine, will it shine, will it shine?
I can't wait for opening day. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be today and it's raining outside, but we like to...
Well, it's not even done yet.
It's not done. The rain isn't done yet.
And when I get trucked for rain, it's like, oh, my anger is over now. So I'm happy again.
Big day, gotta love it.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable feel.
Got to find a way to pull myself up high enough to know what's around and smart enough to know I'm down and strong enough to go 10 rounds with you.
And of course, our home team, Upper Providence Phillies.
I will play fair.
Play fair.
And strive to win.
And strive to win.
But win or lose, I will always do my best.
Always.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight
So play ball.
Yeah, Becca! Get ready, get ready! Okay, let's all get more first.
Let's get here now. Come on, let's get a clap going here.
positivity. No, 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 it doesn't bother me. Don't get 2 cents, well, it takes so much money. No, it doesn't bother me. Steven, this is always on the first.
What a cheerleader! Out to the outfield! Evan McClure! I wonder why. That's what I want to hear. Mickey the second.
Yes, guys, come on, back up.
It's just, things that don't come so easy to these kids, and everybody else takes for granted. When they swing the bat, hit the ball, that's such a tremendous accomplishment for them. And they get to feel part of mainstream society.
And that's the beauty in life. We need difference, and just because they're different than us, how do you know they're not thinking we're the different ones?
But it's just, you have different expectations, and you dream of your child, what are they going to be, where are they going to go to college, who are they going to marry, am I going to have grandchildren? And when you realize that a lot of these things probably aren't going to happen, hopefully he will go to college and get married. He already has a couple girls picked out. But chances are, depending on how society goes, that's probably not going to happen.
Kevin, hopefully he'll be able to live on his own, have his own apartment, maybe with a friend or two. He'll probably always need help with paying bills and things like that. But so long as he's happy and has a job that he goes to and can take care of himself, then I'll be happy.
For Kevin, I just think I want the best. The kid deserves it, and I think he's just want him to love life.
I want him to be treated, and my daughter to be treated just like they're normal. It's out there for them, they have to go get it, whatever they can.
Life is so precious, and what I'd love for people to understand is when you see children with challenges, they're just like any other child.
So many people have so much, especially in this country, and sometimes nothing is ever, no matter what they have, it's never enough. Having a child with a disability changes you. It changes your perspective on things, it changes your priorities and what's really important.
Really what any parent hopes for. I hope that he will be able to learn at an age-appropriate level have friends, be able to, have relationships, get married, have a job, have children, and he wants these things. He talks about them.
What we want for Becca's life, I just want her to be what God intended her to be, and whatever her mission is in life, because God is going to use her just the way He made her.
Every kid needs to feel accomplishment and success, and there's nothing better than baseball.
See you at the ballpark. Yep.
Okay, let's go. Ball players, gloves.
All right.